today I'll be explaining you regarding the surgery, lumbar fixation plus minus TLIF, that is transforaminal lumbar interbody fusion. So our body is supported by bones, that is spine, and in between the bones there are cushion-like structures which are known as disc. Due to age-related degeneration or some sort of strain like trauma, fall or any sort of infection, the bones can slip, which is known as listhesis. If the bones are slipping over one another, they can compress the nerve roots behind. They can also lead to slippage of disc and compression of the nerve roots behind, and the patient can develop various symptoms like back pain, leg pain, difficulty walking, claudication, that is tightening of the legs and severe pain after walking a few steps, tingling, numbness and paresthesias. If it is severe, then definitely the patient needs lumbar fixation plus minus TLIF procedure. So as I had explained in the pre-operative workup video, once the patient is ready, admitted and placed under general anesthesia, we'll be turning the patient in prone position, that is on the stomach. We'll be marking the area through which we have to enter into the spine. We will be cleaning that area, and under C-arm guidance we'll be putting an incision, going inside and fixing the unstable part with screws and rods. Further, if required, we might remove the disc and place a spacer in between the two bones, which is known as cage, along with bone graft. The TLIF procedure is done only for selected patients. Most of the patients we use lumbar fixation procedure. After the procedure, again we will be placing a drain, and once after putting the dressing, we'll be shifting the patient on the back in sleeping position and getting the patient out of support. Once the patient is out of support, we won't be giving him any food or water for 1 day on the day of surgery. Next day, we'll wait for him to pass some flatus, that is gas. Once the patient passes some gas, we can start liquid diet and make him walk by wearing a belt. Next day, on day 2 of surgery, after the patient passes some stools, we can start some soft diet and also remove the catheter if possible. After 3 to 5 days, once the drain quantity comes down, we can remove the drain and discharge the patient. 10 days after the discharge, the patient has to come for review, wherein if the wound has healed well, we will do suture removal. Also before discharge, we will be doing one X-ray to confirm the position of implants. In post-operative care, the patient has to wear belt for a few days, avoid any bending, heavy weight lifting or any sorts of exertional activity for at least 2 to 3 months, and regular physiotherapy and workup. If at all the patient has any neurological deficit before surgery itself or has developed it after the surgery, then definitely patient will be needing active physiotherapy for better improvement of the muscles. So the goals of this surgery will be to prevent instability, that is we are stabilizing the spine with the help of screws and rods, prevent any sort of further slippage, reduce pain and reduce compression from the nerve roots so that any further damage is prevented, and we can prevent even the progression of neurological deficits. But like any surgery, even this surgery can have 1 to 8% of complications. Like first is bleeding. We will be reserving blood for the patient. In case of any bleeding, he might need blood transfusion. Second is infection, wound site infection as well as very rare spine infection. Third is leak of fluid from the spine, that is the cerebrospinal fluid. If at all it is leaking, the patient might have to be called for regular suturings, and there can be increased chances of spine infection. Wound healing issues, delayed wound healing and delayed suture removal can also happen in some patients, especially those who are old aged and who are already suffering from conditions like diabetes mellitus. Or if the patient has already developed some neurological deficit, then the aim will be to try to improve it after surgery with the help of physiotherapy. Our aim is to prevent any sort of further neurological deficit. Rarely, the patient can also develop bowel bladder dysfunction, wherein he might require catheterization for a long period of time. In 1% cases, there can be injury to nerve roots and development of weakness of the legs or some particular movements post-surgery. Rarely, there can be implant loosening, implant failure, very rarely implant infection. Whatever screws, rods or cage that we are placing in the patient's body, those are very much compatible with the body and they will stay in the body of the patient throughout the life. They need not be removed like orthopedic implants. But in case of any circumstance of implant infection or implant loosening or displacement of implant, which can happen in rare cases of 1 to 2%, then we might have to open up, remove the implants or reposition the implants, and a resurgery might be required. Very rarely there can be reoccurrence of the disc at the same level, or at the adjacent level also degenerative changes can happen. Next, there can be issues with the bowel, especially post-surgery. Patient can develop diarrhea or patient can have constipation, unable to pass gas and motions for some period of time. Post-surgery, we want to get the patient out of support. Rarely, patient can have difficulty coming out of the support, due to which he might need 1 or 2 days of ICU stay or sometimes need for oxygen support after coming out of ventilator. There can be a rare occurrence of any cardiac event or intraoperative decline in cardiac parameters post-surgery, since any surgery is a stress to the heart, kidney, lungs and other organs of the body, especially the heart. If any such thing happens, the cardiologist will always be kept on loop, and definitely we are doing a surgery under general anesthesia, so 0.5 to 1% life risk will be there. If the patient has developed any weakness or any issues with the lungs post-surgery, which is a very rare occurrence in such kind of cases, then the patient might require rehabilitation care and stay post-discharge.